Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. I got a comment from A. Beck. He said, I noticed that the church has already released the September and October Liahona magazines in the Gospel Library. What? And so I had to check that out. I went to the church website, and sure enough, there's the September and October 2026 editions of the Liahona. That is highly unusual. At this point in the month, it would be plausible to have access to the September Liahona, but typically what you would have to do is go to like a current issue of the Liahona and then go up to the URL up here. And then you see where it says 2026/09. You would just enter 09 or 10 or whatever the next month is. And then sometimes it'll pull up. But for as early as it is in August, for both of these to be here without doing that little trick is unusual. Back to the comment. I don't think it's typical to release them so early. Yeah, no, it is not. And it might be because what we're going to cover in this video is an urgent message that the church has put out. I mean, this is my speculation, but whether the church did it intentionally or whether the Lord made this happen because it suits his purposes, I don't know. But what we're going to cover in this video is an urgent message. I feel like it has something to do with that. Is it so the church leadership can focus on preparing for the next general conference? Will this be a unique general conference? That could be too. I don't know. Maybe they're up there by mistake. Maybe it's just like a glitch. I don't know. But let's go ahead and let's take a look. So I always like to see which apostle has written an article for any given issue of the Liahona. So for September, it's just Elder Rasband, and it's actually his article that we're going to be focusing on in this video. And then for October, it's Elder Suarez. Just really quick, what I did is I updated my spreadsheet called Prophets Liahona. A long time ago, I wanted to know how often did President Nelson write Liahona articles, and how often would you have multiple apostles write an article in one issue of the Liahona? And so I put together a spreadsheet, and this is what it looks like. The last time we got an article from President Oaks, and it was as president of the church, was in December. But so far this year, we haven't had any other articles from him. So if we're going to get one, I would assume it would be December, just because during President Nelson's time, he would do one article a month in the Liahona. And we saw some really interesting things. There were times when you would have issues that would have multiple apostles, like October 2018. You had, at the time, elders Christopherson, Anderson, and Cook in just one issue. The month before that, elders Bednar and Holland. And then there were other times with President Nelson where he would write his article so that it would coincide with something important happening in the church. So, for example, the April issue of the Ensign in Liahona was an article by President Nelson, and that was his one big Second Coming issue. So he scheduled that to take place in the same month as that really important general conference. And then the conference issue came out in May. And then for 3 months in a row, for some reason, we didn't have any apostles in those 3 months of the Liahona. So we've just seen some like really interesting things. The last thing I want to point out here, It's just really interesting. So we got uh, an article from President Nelson in the October 2024 Liahona, and the October 2024 General Conference was the conference in which he gave his big Second Coming talk. And then only a couple months went by, and then we were already getting another article from President Nelson in January. And that was very unusual to have so little time go by between articles by President Nelson. Well, now looking back at it with 2020 hindsight, it may have had something to do with the fact that he passed away in 2025. Whether he knew that that was going to be the year that he was going to pass away, maybe he wanted to make sure that he had one more article in the Liahona. I don't know, but that's how it played out. So possibly President Oaks in December. I guess we'll see. Really quick, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe for additional Second Coming content. And also, it helps to support the channel. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so without further ado, we, we have a new Second Coming quote for my Second Coming quotes spreadsheet, but this time it's coming from the future. That's how like quickly we're starting to get Second Coming quotes, and how much things are hastening. Now we're starting to get Second Coming quotes from the future. So we have our first Second Coming quote for the month of September, and it comes from Elder Rasband. What he says in this article is you'll see the urgency. And he brings up the Second Coming. Okay, so and I think it has everything to do with the Second Coming. The Joy of Sharing the Gospel by Elder Rasband. We're going to read this little story at the beginning. What could I do on a mission? Now, ask yourself that question. Some of you need to listen up on this one. Please consider what he's about to ask. And I would encourage you, if it means anything, I would encourage you to take action on this. I really, really would. What could I do on a mission? Wondered Carrie Christensen, who had lost his wife 3 years earlier. Do you need missionaries out there? Okay, pay attention, please. Everybody. Like we used to say in the Army, la-di-da-di, everybody. Do you need missionaries out there? These are the questions Brother Christensen asked after hearing the announcement in November 2024 that single senior men over 40 could now serve full-time missions. That was an event that I captured on my spreadsheet called Timeline Missionary Work. I track a number of things on this spreadsheet, including church membership, new converts, new children of record, and all that kind of stuff. Over here, I've noticed that there's been this like series of all hands on deck events, like situations where the church changes something and it's with the intent to produce more missionaries. And this was one of those events. Single men 40 and over can now serve as senior missionaries. All hands on all hands on deck. Let's see, in December, I think that date's wrong, but in 2022, we had President Nelson's request for more missionaries. I think that was in the April 2022 General Conference. And there's been a number of these things. I think we'll review that in just a little bit. Let's get back to this story. Okay, so he had served in Guam as a young missionary in 1974, and he longed to return. So he reached out, learned that the mission would love his help, talked to his bishop, and submitted his papers. A call to Guam soon arrived. Brother Christensen left his assignment as a service missionary at Temple Square, trained as an office missionary, and was soon serving in the Yigo Guam temple. He loved working with the other senior missionaries, calling his experience, quote unquote, a dream come true. Okay. And that certainly would be a dream come true for me. I would love to go back to the Spain Barcelona mission. I recently pulled this out of storage. It's a little wood plaque um, for my mission that everybody was given. Um, Let me keep reading. He even reconnected with people he had taught as a young missionary 50 years before, marveling at the extraordinary growth in church membership that had occurred in the interim. Yeah, I would be very interested to see how the areas of my mission have progressed. Uh, One area in particular, I served on the island of Majorca. And when I started there, we were all, okay, I'm using military, like I was going to say station. We were all stationed in Palma. We were all assigned to the city of Palma, basically. And that's mostly where we worked. But they opened up a new area while I was on the island. This is off the east coast of Spain. And opened up this new area called Inca. And we lived in Palma, but we would take the train up to Inca. And I was only there for like a little bit. It was just, I think it was just like one transfer basically. But I'd love to see how things have progressed there and just my mission in general. One thing that I do know is that there's been a temple announced for Barcelona, and I'm really happy with the design of it. If you took that dome off the top, I like that shape right there, how it looks like a castle turret. But I love the dome too. I'm not saying I don't like the dome. I like the entire thing. It's a beautiful temple. I'm very satisfied with that. So imagine your mission if you've served a mission. Have you served a mission? Let me know in the comments. Where did you serve? And would you like to go back there and see how things have progressed? Have you been able to revisit your mission since you left? Okay, so a dream come true. He reconnected with people and he saw extraordinary growth. There he is as a missionary. There he is again as a missionary, but now a senior missionary. When Elder Christensen's service was interrupted by complications related to a tumor diagnosis, he knew that his brother's call was more than a coincidence. Quote, I feel that the Lord saw this coming, so he sent my brother to take my place. I just had to trust in the Lord that he had a different mission for me and a different time frame. Coincidence is a key word on this channel because a lot of times people like to dismiss coincidence. And I'm collecting quotes like this and putting them on my spreadsheet called Quotes A through Z. What's currently row 127 for coincidences and convergences, because it sure does seem that when it comes to spiritual things, there really aren't coincidences, according to the brethren. I have many, 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 many quotes that confirm that. So, okay, let's go back to this. Okay, enhanced opportunities. Now, this is where it really, this is where it started to make my, this is where it started to surprise me. I'm so good at talking. This is where things get like pretty urgent. And I'm kind of surprised what's said here. Brothers and sisters, what mission does the Lord have for you? He knows your capacity to serve, and his church offers a variety of lengths, assignments, and locations for senior missionaries. If you, like Elder Christensen, wonder whether you are needed, the answer is a decisive yes. Okay, this is the theme of this video, and you're going to see all the different ways that you see the urgency here. I have decided to add this Liahona article to this spreadsheet as an all hands on deck instance. I've got to change the name though. Elder Rasband's request for more senior missionaries. All hands on deck. Let's go back really quick and just quickly review. July of this year, the Utah Salt Lake City Temple Square mission discontinued so that the sister missionaries could still serve on Temple Square, but just for like a few months, but the rest of their time serve as proselyting missionaries. All hands on deck. We had this thing where prospective missionaries may submit their application through local church leaders up to 150 days before their availability dates and are encouraged to begin the process well in advance of the 150-day window. So all hands on deck. Get ready as soon as you can and, start working on it. And then October of last year, under President Oaks, the mission age for women was changed from 19 to 18. All hands on deck. So we're seeing a missionary surge, and they want people to go if it's right for them. In the case of sister missionaries, go if they're feeling prompted. For men, it's a priesthood responsibility. And then here's what we're talking about in this one. The single men 40 and over can serve. President Nelson's request for more missionaries. And anyway, yeah, I'm not going to go over them all, but you can see there's been a number. All hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Elder Christensen's advice to those considering senior missions, whether as a couple or as a single sister or a single elder, is simply do it. Okay, so a decisive yes and do it. During my service in the missionary department, we looked for ways to enhance missionary opportunities. We noticed that one demographic of church membership had been left out: single senior men. We could find no clear historical record or policy prohibiting their service, so under the direction of the First Presidency, we made a change. Now, missionary opportunities span the whole membership of the church. Or you could say, all hands on deck. Here it is right here. Now missionary opportunities span the whole membership of the church. All can become, quote unquote, fishers of men. Matthew 4, verse 19. So I think my observations and my theory was right, that the church has now shifted to this phase where it's all hands on deck. It's just like, look, I was going to share this. It's just like what President Eyring said. Here it is. 2 days after President Oaks became president of the church, President Eyring said, "I'm so grateful for the people whose faith I know will sustain us in this great work of the restoration and the final preparation of the Lord's church for his coming." You guys, this really is, I truly believe this really is the final phase. And this is evidence of it right here. He is saying that it is now all hands on deck. It is all hands on deck. So if you're somebody that thinks that you can serve a mission, you should really pray about it. Fast if you need to. Go to the temple. But you should really, really think about it. Okay. Continuing. If we have a desire to serve God, the Lord tells us, we are called to the work. Couple that desire with faith, hope, charity, and love with an eye single to the glory of God, and we are, in heaven's eyes, qualified. Brothers and sisters, we all can qualify for the work. In fact, we have covenanted to do so. There's a lot of push here. There's a lot of requesting, and there's a lot of urgency behind what he's saying. Okay, now look at this part. In a recent General Conference talk, I shared the story of Brigham Young and Heber C. Kimball departing for their mission to the British Isles. Both men were 38 years old. Both were ill. Both were leaving behind a sick wife and sick children. Quote, "It appeared to me as though my very inmost parts would melt within me at leaving my family in such a condition," Heber said, adding, "I felt as though I could not endure it." But with a hurrah for Israel, they moved forward with faith. Upon seeing a son or a daughter depart for the mission field, many a mother knows all too well the feeling of a melting heart, and many senior missionaries who leave behind children and grandchildren have wondered if they could endure being parted from their precious posterity. I want to say something here. You guys, it'll be okay. Whether you're a younger missionary or whether you're considering serving as a senior missionary, it's going to be okay. You know, a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it is, um, it really isn't that big of a deal. I know that as far as like my own experience going on a 2 year mission uh, to Spain, when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here forever. And it did start to get to the point where it felt like my previous life was just a dream and my whole life had actually been in the mission. But that's just because I was, there in the moment and it has that effect. But it comes and it goes, and it really isn't that big of a deal. It really isn't. And you gain so much from doing it. Obviously, we're not going there for ourselves. We're going there because we want to serve the Lord. We want to bless others. But then in turn, you are richly blessed with sacred experiences and growth. And it's just incredible. There have been many times that I've had dreams at night where I was back on my mission. Um, a lot of those came before I started my channel. I actually kind of wonder if they were like pointing me forward to the fact that I'd be serving a mission in a way, doing this YouTube channel. I think every one that does social media I think that they're meant to do it. I think that they're providing a service and they're serving the Lord in an unofficial capacity. But like, it just, I've said before how I've had different jobs, after my mission. Um, when I was in the army, up until that point, I felt like that was the most meaningful job that I had because I was serving the country. But nothing compares to serving a mission where full time you're just engaged in serving the Lord in service. You get a lot of meaning out of that, and then now doing social media. Um, these are the three things that have given me the most meaning out of like what I've been able to do with my efforts. So, um, I don't know. It just, and then on top of that, it's great to actually go, like if you're called to live somewhere else, like go to another country or another state. Um, there's nothing like actually living somewhere. You know, you see people that will go on trips and vacations, and it's great to go on a cruise, or it's great to go backpacking in Europe for a couple weeks or whatever. Um, but it's a much different experience if you actually live in that place. And I know that because I have now lived in, I always have to remember, 5 states: Utah, Arizona, Texas, Kansas, and now Missouri. I've lived in 5 states. And you really get to know that area better when you actually live there. So, um, anyway, there's just so many reasons why it's a good thing. You're serving others, but there's also many benefits that you get yourself. All right, continuing. With such treasures on earth, it can be difficult to think of treasures in heaven. And yet, because we love our neighbor, we leave our loved ones for a time to share the love of God, which is the most desirable above all things. Okay, later on, let's see, there's another story there, but we're going to skip down here to the section called Hurrah for Israel. Brothers and sisters, the need for missionaries is great. For those contemplating a senior mission, Learning how to prepare and discovering the many available opportunities for service is as easy as going online to seniormissionary.churchofjesuschrist.org. While we do that right now, I wasn't planning on that, but we've looked at this website before. Okay, I just went to the church website for this, and I think it's changed. Um, it wasn't too long ago, we were actually looking at the senior missionary service part of the church website, and it was showing like the different types of missions. But here it is. You can click on these things, but it seems that you have to log into your church account, and then it'll show you all the different mission opportunities that are out there, and it'll show you which ones are really needed, like which ones are available, which ones have a great need, and things like that, like how urgent certain positions are needed. Um, it's very similar to like a job website where it has all these different jobs and positions. So yeah, make sure to check that out. I'm not going to show it just because I had to log in, so I don't want to show anything that where you have to like log into the church website. But I'll put the link for this in the description box below. All right, continuing. Once there, you can search service opportunities for couples, senior sisters, and senior elders. You'll be surprised how many of those opportunities fall into the high need and critical need categories. So that's really interesting. So you can like go and see what the church needs the most and hopefully help with that. On behalf of the master missionary, I say hurrah for Sister Lunan, hurrah for Elder Christensen, hurrah for all young or old, single or married, who are heeding the prophetic call to prepare the world for the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay, so again, just to remind you, these two issues of the Liahona have been published early. Maybe that's because there's a need for this. Maybe they're trying to hasten things along. I'm not sure. I This might be a new website. I'm not sure, but up until this point, I didn't know that they had like these listings, and you could see if they're high need or critical need. I do think that this might be a new website where it's been changed or something. Um, in all this, as we're thinking about preparing the world for the second coming of Jesus Christ, I think it all goes together. All hands on deck. Hurrah for all, young or old, single or married, all hands on deck. This is crazy. Okay, continuing. The Lord loves you for your service, whether at home or abroad, and we, the leaders of his church, love and bless you for your sacrifice. Missionary service is the lifeblood of the church. The Lord has called each of us to live and share the gospel. We are never too young, too old, or too single to serve God's children, bring souls to Christ, and help gather Israel. As you go out with joy, I promise you will be led forth with peace. Isaiah 55:12. May we be faithful in embracing this greatest challenge, this greatest cause, this greatest work on earth. So, did you feel the urgency in this article? Uh, you know, One more time, I just want to review a couple things here. So, it's a dream come true, reconnect with people from your mission, potentially, if that's where you serve. Um, uh, if you wonder whether you're needed, the answer is a decisive yes. Uh, do it. The whole membership of the church can be missionaries now, essentially. You've covenanted to do so. We realize that you may be leaving family members behind, kids, grandkids. Just think about Heber C. Kimball and Brigham Young. They went when they were sick and when their children were sick, and the Lord blessed them. And there are high and critical needs. The brothers and sisters, the need for missionaries is great. So please consider doing this. Please consider doing this, and then let me know if you end up doing it. I don't mind highlighting you on the channel if you end up going. I would love to see that. And then there's this part down here at the bottom of the article. It says Elder Bassett passed away unexpectedly on May 11th, 2026, while this issue was in production. Okay, so The Lord Needs Your Service by Elder W. Mark Bassett, Executive Director of the Missionary Department. Whether you served a mission decades ago or have never worn a missionary name tag, the Lord can use your service. You can prepare now to be among his most effective instruments, embracing 3 suggestions months or even years before you plan to serve. Number 1, strengthen your skills. Maintain and improve any language skills you may have had. Freshen up on your earlier missions or high school language courses. Open your computer and learn how to use it, especially the internet, in standard office computer programs and applications. Become familiar with the technology the church offers. Digital fluency multiplies your ability to serve. Number 2, care for your health. Your body is your instrument of service. Schedule that medical checkup, address lingering health concerns, and build sustainable habits. The missionary work ahead needs you at your best. Number 3, study leadership. Watch how your local leaders minister, delegate, and build unity. Practice supporting them wholeheartedly. Build up local members and leaders with encouragement, service, and example. Missionaries worldwide are serving as catalysts to help leaders succeed. Every senior missionary supports and strengthens local leadership. We don't replace it, we sustain and magnify it. And then that's the end of the 3 things. And then it says, the need for senior missionaries, both couples and singles, is urgent and vast. I should have highlighted that. It's urgent and vast. We could fill multiple stake centers with senior missionaries and still have needs going unmet worldwide. Oh man. You guys, let's think about this. The church has thousands of members who could serve, but only a fraction of them are currently serving. The need isn't just large, it's now, and it's waiting for you. Highlight that. And that's the end of it. So again, I would encourage you to take action, pray about it, fast, go to the temple. If you're worried about family members or circumstances, consult with the Lord and trust in Him. If you feel like it's the right thing for you to do, I think that He will take care of you and whatever that need is while you're away. And however long you serve, it really, really is not that long. I promise you. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.